guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Tour YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another new crochet tutorial, and this time it's another beginner one as well, and it's actually another beginner Pokemon one. And I know all my beginner tutorials so far have been Pokemon, but they just seem to be quite good, to be honest, for beginner tutorials. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make Igglybuff. So here she is, and as you can hopefully see, the eyes are made out of crocheting in this rather than felt. So again, if you struggle with felt pieces or anything like that, this should hopefully be a bit more easy. And everything pretty much is crocheted. The only thing that isn't is just the mouth and the little swirl at the top, which I added with embroidery thread. But I do show you me doing this in the video, so hopefully you can follow along. And you can also use yarn for that as well if you don't have embroidery thread, and that's not an issue. So without further ado, if you're interested in finding out how to make this Igglybuff, then please keep watching. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in the following colours: light pink, white, black, red, and you only need very small amounts of the black, red and white, and you definitely don't need a full ball of the light pink either. You could have 50 grams or less of that, but I've just got a full ball that I haven't actually started using yet for mine, so that's why I've got so much of it. Then you'll be needing some black embroidery thread. You can just use the black yarn, but this is to create smaller lines for the details, such as the mouth and the swirly pattern on Igglybuff's head. Then you'll be needing a stitch marker. I've just got enough cut of yarn for this, that's what I'd recommend using. Then you'll need a yarn needle. This is just for sewing everything together. You'll need some scissors, you'll need your crochet hook. I've got 4mm to go with my aran weight yarn, but if you're deciding to use a lighter or heavier weight of yarn, just make sure that you adjust your hook size accordingly. Then you'll be needing some stuffing. You'll need more than this, but this is just to demonstrate. And finally, you may find it useful to have some pins when you're sewing things together, but it's not 100% necessary. So we're going to start off by making the main head slash body with our light pink yarn. So for round one, we're going to be working into a magic circle. Now, if you don't know how to do this, I'll show you slowly. So if you just grip the yarn like this, leaving a little bit of a tail at the end here, then just loop the yarn over your two fingers like this, then bring it back around and do another loop, but this time make sure it's behind the first one that you already did. So like this. Then take your finger and just hold on to that yarn tail so that this remains in place. And then what you're going to do is insert your crochet hook under the first loop, grab that second loop like this, and then twist it as you bring it round so that you've got this loop now on your hook. Now what you can do, hold on to this loop that's on your hook and just release your two fingers like this. And then you're just going to do a chain. So you're just going to yarn over and then pull that through that loop there, and now you have your magic circle ready to work into. So as I mentioned, we're going to be single crocheting into this. We're going to do 4 single crochets, and again, to do the single crochet, just insert your hook into the loop, pull up a loop of your yarn tail there, and then yarn over and pull that loop through both the loops on your hook like this. So that's the first single crochet. We're going to do 3 more. Okay, so that's our 4 single crochets. Then to close up this hole, just find your little yarn tail that you have here from the beginning. So this is my yarn tail here, and just pull on that as tight as you can, like this. And what you should see is that the hole closes up. So this is what you should be left with at the end of round 1. Now for round 2, we're just going to be increasing in every single stitch that we just did in round 1, and an increase is just simply doing 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So I'll show you that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that first single crochet that we did and insert our hook into both the loops like that, and then we're going to do our first single crochet. And one other tip I have for you is for the first couple of single crochets of this round, just make sure that you're working them over this tail that we have here, and that will help to secure it in place. So I'm just working that single crochet over the tail. So that's my first one. Then I'm going to go back into this same stitch and do another single crochet like that. And that is our first increase complete. And another thing that you can do as well is just to keep track of the rounds. You can insert a stitch marker into the first single crochet that you did of round 2. So I'm just going to use this yellow piece of yarn just to demonstrate where the round started. And I'll just leave that like that. So now I'm going to complete the round, so I just need to do 3 more increases now. I'm going to work the first single crochet over this tail, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop working over that now. I'm just going to keep that tail to the side and continue doing my increases as normal. So that's my second increase. This will be my third increase. And then this is my fourth increase. So now at the end of round 2 you should have 8 single crochets, and I'll count them for you so you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what you can also do now is just to cut this yarn tail because you've crocheted over it and it's secured in place. So just to remove any confusion, we can get rid of that now. And now we're ready to start the third round. So in each of the next few rounds we're going to be increasing by 4 single crochets each time. So in order to do this in round 3 we're going to now work a pattern of doing a single crochet, then an increase, a single crochet, then an increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, and that will get us up to 12 single crochets at the end of round 3. So I'll show you this round now, and then what I'm going to do is just talk you through the remaining increase rounds, because it won't be anything new. Once you've mastered these few rounds, then you should be able to do all of the increase rounds for this project. So I'm going to just remove my stitch marker and do my first single crochet, and then I'm going to place my stitch marker back into the first stitch of the round just so I remember where it started. Then I'm going to work an increase in the next stitch, so 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Then I'm going to just carry that pattern on all the way around, so single crochet, increase. Okay, so now at the end of round 3 you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches. So I'm just going to talk you through the remaining increase rounds now. Round 4 will be 2 single crochet increase, repeat 3 more times to get you up to 16 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 5, 3 single crochet increase, repeat 3 more times to get you up to 20 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 6, 4 single crochet increase, repeat 3 more times to get you up to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 7, 5 single crochet increase, repeat 3 more times to get you up to 28 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 8, 6 single crochet increase, repeat 3 more times to get you up to 32 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 9, 7 single crochet increase, repeat 3 more times to get you up to 36 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 10, 8 single crochet increase, repeat 3 more times to get you up to 40 single crochets at the end of the round. And then rounds 11 to 19, you're just going to single crochet all the way around in each of those rounds from 11 through to 19. So that should be 40 single crochets in each of those rounds. I'll meet you when you're ready to start round 20, as we need to start decreasing then, so I'll need to show you the technique for this. So I'm ready to start round 20 now, and this is what my Igglybuff is looking like. Hopefully yours looks something similar. So in round 20, as I mentioned before, we're going to be starting to do some decreases, and we're going to be decreasing in every round now until we complete the main head / body of Igglybuff. So for this round, we're going to start off by doing 8 single crochets, and then we're going to do a decrease. So I'll start my single crochets first and I'll mark the first stitch as usual. And now I'm going to do my decrease. So I'm going to start off as if I'm doing a normal single crochet, but instead of yarning over and pulling through both loops at this point, I'm instead going to go into the next single crochet and also pull up a loop. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through both loops on my hook, and that's how we're going to do our decrease. So I'll show you one more. I'm going to do another 8 single crochets and then another decrease. Okay, so I'm going to do my next decrease. Okay, so you're just going to repeat 8 single crochet decrease all the way around. That should get you down to 36 single crochets, and I'll meet you when you're ready to start round 21. So I'm ready to start round 21 now, and I'm actually just going to talk you through the next few rounds because it's just rounds including decreases and single crochets now, so hopefully you should be comfortable with doing those now. So for round 21 you're going to do 4 single crochet decrease and repeat that 5 more times to get you down to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. Just to note that we're from round 21 onwards, we're decreasing in increments of 6 rather than 4 now, just so that we close up the bottom of Igglybuff a bit quicker than we increased at the top. So just bear that in mind, that you should expect every round to go down by 6 single crochets after this point. So then for round 22 you're going to do 3 single crochet decrease and repeat 5 more times to get you down to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. Then round 23, 2 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 18. I'll meet you at the end of round 23 as we then need to stuff, and then there'll just be a couple more rounds left to do. I finished round 23, and as you can hopefully see, I've added my stuffing. So you just want to make sure that you're stuffing firmly at this point, and yeah, just make sure that you add your stuffing, and then we're ready to do our final couple of rounds. So round 24 you're going to do single crochet decrease and repeat 5 more times to get you down to 12 single crochets. Then finally round 25 decrease all the way around to get you down to 6. I'll meet you at the end of round 25 and show you how to close up the remaining hole. So I'm ready to close up this hole at the bottom. So what you're going to do is you're just going to cut your yarn, leaving a bit of a tail. Pull the yarn tail through like this, and then grab your yarn needle and thread the tail through there. And then what you're going to do, so you see that there's 6 remaining stitches at the end of round 25, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to go into the front loop only of each of these and weave your yarn tail through. And when I say the front loop, I mean the loop closest to us, so this one here. So that's the first one, second, third one, fourth one, fifth one, and then the final one. And once you've done that, just pull tightly and you should see that hole now close up. Then what you can do is just weave that yarn tail through that hole to a random stitch somewhere in the body and just pull on it. Don't pull too tightly because you may misshape the bottom of your work, so just pull just enough so that you can just about see that has kind of flattened at the bottom there. And then you're just going to cut that yarn tail. So we've got our main piece now, so this is hopefully looking the same on your side as well. Hopefully you've got something that looks like this. So now what we're going to move on to doing next is making the little hair pieces. There's going to be 3 of those, and they're going to be sewn to the top of Igglybuff. I've gone ahead and made 2 of the hair pieces so you can see what they look like, but we're going to need 3 in total, so I'm going to do the 3rd one with you now. So if you grab your light pink yarn, we're going to start off for round 1 doing 4 single crochets in a magic circle, so exactly the same as what we did for the head / body. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, then just pull on the tail to close. So that's round 1, and then for round 2 we're going to increase in each single crochet, again exactly the same as what we did for the head / body. Okay, so that's round 2 complete. You should have 8 single crochets. So for rounds 3 to 4 you're just going to single crochet all the way around, so 8 single crochets for each round, and I'll meet you when you're ready to start round 5. Okay, so I'm ready to start round 5, which is the final round. In this round we're just going to decrease all the way around, so that'll be 4 decreases in total. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So once you've done that, you can cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. Pull your yarn tail through. And then the final step is just to add some stuffing. Now, obviously this is quite a small gap to get the stuffing into, so what I'd suggest you do is just place the stuffing on top and then use the other side of your crochet hook to push it in to the hair piece. So I'm just going to keep going until all of that is inside. And that's that. So come back when you've made 3 of these and I'll show you how to sew these to Igglybuff's head. I'm ready to start sewing my hair pieces. So what you're firstly going to want to do is just decide what is the neatest side of your Igglybuff and where you want the front of the face to sort of sit. So I like this side the best, but you could use this side instead. Just have a little look around your piece and just see where is the neatest side and make that the front. Then what we're going to do, so the hair pieces are kind of positioned at the top like this, there'll be one in the middle, then there'll be one either side of it. So I'm going to start by doing the middle one first and then crochet one either side of this. So you can use pins if you want to. I'm just going to hold it in place with my hands, but it's completely up to you what's your preference. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be simply whip stitching all the way around to sew that down. So start off by going into one of the loops of the head / body, then back into the hair piece, and then back into a body loop. Just pull that tight, and then one of the, sorry, I'm just trying to see where I'm going. So one of the hairpiece loops, and then into the body, then a hairpiece loop into the body, and then probably one more, it looks like, will do it. Okay, so that's what it looks like when I've sewn all the way around. Now what you can do if you want to make it slightly more secure, and I think I'm going to do this, is you can go around once more and just go into some slightly higher up loops. So just like this. and that is what it's looking like now, and it's completely up to you when you stop, but I think I'm happy with how this looks. So I'm just going to weave this yarn tail through to a random stitch at the back, and then I'll be able to snip that. So that's my first hair piece sewn down. I'm going to do the other two now, and I'll meet you when I finish that, but basically you just want to position them next to this top piece like this, so one either side. I've sewn down all the hair pieces, so this is what it looks like. The next step is to make the eyes, so you're going to need your red, black and white yarn for this. I've gone ahead and made one of the eyes just to show you what it's going to look like. Obviously we're going to need to make two of these, so I'll do the second one with you now. So we're going to be starting off with our black yarn. So with your black, you're going to be doing a magic circle once again. This time we're going to be doing 6 single crochets in the magic circle for round 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then for the 6th one you're going to actually be changing to red, because we're going to be crocheting in red for round 2. So what you're going to do is make sure that you've got your red yarn ready. So I've got mine here, and then you're going to start off like you're doing a normal single crochet into the magic circle with your black yarn like this, but then instead of yarning over and pulling through both loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over with your red colour instead like this, and then pull through both loops on your hook, and then just make sure to pull your black yarn tail a little bit to keep that in place. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to pull on the other tail to close up the hole like you would do normally. Again, I'm just going to pull on this other tail just to make that a bit more tight. And as you can see, we're now working in red rather than black, so we're ready to start round 2. So for round 2 we're going to be increasing all the way around in our red colour. So for the first few single crochets, I would again recommend that you crochet over the tails just to keep everything in place. There's 3 tails that we're going to need to be crocheting over here. So I'm going to start off by doing my first single crochet. So I'm going to do my second one. I'm going to move on to my next increase, my 3rd single crochet. And then I'm going to actually cut this black tail at this point, and I'll cut the remaining bits of the tail afterwards once I've finished round 2. So I'm just going to complete my increase here and then do 4 more increases. Okay, so now I'm just going to cut my yarn because we've completed round 2 and that's the final round. Make sure to leave a tail long enough for sewing. And then you can also cut all of these tails now because we've secured them by crocheting over them. Okay, so this is what the eye looks like, and as you'll probably see, it's not very neat at the top here, so the next thing I'm going to show you is how to finish this part off in a neat way. So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing a fake single crochet. So to do that, you're going to flip your work, skip this next single crochet, go into the one after that with your crochet hook, and pull the yarn tail through. Then you're going to go back to that final single crochet of round 2 into the closest loop to us currently, so that'll be this one here, and just pull that yarn tail through again. And what you should hopefully see is that this here is, oops, sorry, get rid of that bit of fluff. This here is a fake single crochet that we've just created, and it makes it harder to tell where the round ended, so that is the purpose of doing your fake single crochet. So now all we have to do is add a little white dot with some white yarn. So I've got my length of white yarn here, And I'm just going to use my yarn needle and put a little white dot at the corner of the eye. So just like that. And then I'm going to tie that at the back to keep that in place. Don't pull too tightly, otherwise again you may misshape it. And then I'm going to cut the yarn tails, just trim them a little bit, and then they'll sit at the back of the eye and no one will be able to see that. Okay, so once you've got your two eyes like this, come back and I'll show you how to sew them to the head. So you're going to want to pin the eyes down like this, leaving enough of a gap between them to add a little mouth, and also leaving enough of a gap at the top to add a little swirly design later on. So once these are pinned down, you can then start sewing them. And for this, I'm going to be using a running stitch instead of a whip stitch. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to go into a nearby light pink loop. Then I'm going to find another nearby light pink loop. And then go back up through a red loop like that. Then I'm going to go back into a red and through a pink. Then another pink through the red. So you're just going to go like that all the way around until you've completely sewn the eye down. I've sewn down the first eye. I'm just going to weave the yarn tail through the eye and then snip that. Okay, so you're just going to want to do the same thing on the other side now with the other eye, and I'll meet you when you've sewn that one down as well. Now that we've sewn the eyes down, we can add a little mouth between the eyes. So I've just got my length of black embroidery thread here. Again, you can use black yarn if you want to as well. I'm just going to weave that through to in between the eyes. So one of these stitches here. And then I'm just going to create a little mouth. So I'm going to go into this stitch and then back out through here, and then I'm going to go back into that same stitch and back out through a random stitch in the body. So just like that, and then just sort of use your fingers to position it how you want and tighten up the embroidery thread if you need to. And then once you've got a mouth that you're happy with, you can just kind of weave the embroidery thread through the body a few times and then cut it, and that should hopefully stick in place. So just like this, and then I'm going to cut that. I'm going to do the same with the other yarn tail on the other side, and if you've got a bit sticking out, just use your scissors to poke it back in. So yeah, I'm going to weave in this tail. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add the swirly pattern to the top of the head. So I've got another length of black embroidery thread here, and I'm going to be adding the swirly design to the top of the head. So I'm just going to come out through to the top of the head like this. And I'm just going to do it in a very gradual way, just going in to a stitch and then coming out like this. It's probably easier if you just watch me how to do it, to be honest. I'm probably gonna not be able to explain properly what I'm doing, but hopefully you can understand. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm just doing a lot of small little stitches to create that swirl, and I'm going to go like this, round like that, and then like that. So I'm just going to carry on doing that, and I'll meet you when I've finished. This is what it looks like when I finished the swirl. So now the next thing that we're going to do is make the little arms for our Igglybuff. So for the arms, again, we're going to be working in a magic circle with our light pink yarn. We're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets in the magic circle for round 1. Then for round 2, we're going to do single crochet increase, and that's going to get us up to 6 single crochets at the end of round 2. Okay, so at the end of round 2 you should have your 6 single crochets. Then for rounds 3 to 5 you're just going to single crochet all the way around, so 6 single crochets in each of those rounds, and I'll meet you at the end of round 5. So I've just finished round 5, and now I'm going to do the final touch to finish this off. So what we're going to do is we're going to be working 3 slip stitches across the top of the arm, and we're going to work them into 2 single crochets at a time to basically seal off the top of the arm. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to start off by going into the next single crochet, then back into the same single crochet on my hook currently, and then pull that yarn tail through and then pull it through again, and that's our first slip stitch. Then I'm going to go into the next single crochet and then the corresponding single crochet behind that as well, and again pull through the yarn, and then finally I'm going to go into the next single crochet and the one behind that and pull through the yarn, and what you'll end up with is these 3 slip stitches across the top, and the top of the arm will now be completely sealed, so there's no open hole at the top there. So then you can just cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing, and you're just going to want to make 2 of these. So come back when you've got 2 and I'll show you how to sew them to the body. As you can see, I've sewn down one of the arms. I'm going to do the other one with you now. So you're just going to position this at the side of the body, and the top of the arm should be roughly about halfway through the eye, maybe a little bit lower down than that. I'm just going to check that this looks fairly symmetrical compared to the other side, and then I'm going to start sewing this down with a whip stitch along the top of the arm to start with. So just going to be going through the slip stitch of the arm and then through a stitch of the body, and just do that all the way across. So that's the first bit done. Just double checking I'm still happy with the positioning of this before I continue, and yep, I am. If you weren't, then you can always unpick the stitches that you've done and start again. So the next thing I'm going to do is just sew down a few stitches at the side of the arm, again doing a whip stitch for this. So I'm just going to go into 2 or 3 of these stitches at the side and just sew them down like that. And then I'm gonna go through the body to the back of the arm like this, and then I'm just going to do the same thing at the back. So I'm going to sew down a few stitches. Just like that. Then just check I'm still happy with that. Yep, I think that's fine. So I'm just going to weave my yarn tail through the body and snip that. So we're nearly done now. The final step is to make the feet, so I'll talk you through that now. So this is what one of the feet looks like. I'm just going to talk you through the rounds because it's all stuff that we've done previously now. So round 1 is 4 single crochets in a magic circle. Round 2, increase all the way around to get you up to 8 single crochets at the end of the round. Then rounds 3 to 6, so 4 rounds in total, just single crochet all the way around, so 8 single crochets per round. I'll meet you when you finish round 6 and just show you again how to close up the hole here and then get your yarn into the right position, ready for sewing the feet to the body. So I've just finished round 6 and this is what the foot is looking like. So I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a tail for sewing, and then in the same way as we did for the main body piece, I'm just going to use my yarn needle to close up this hole at the top. So I'm going to be going into the front loops of each of those 8 single crochets and pulling as I do so. So as you can see, that hole has now completely closed up, and all we're going to do is just weave our yarn tail through that hole and to kind of the top of the foot here, and now we're ready to sew that to the body. So come back when you've got 2 of these and I'll show you how to sew to the body. I've sewn down one of the feet, as you can see. I'm going to do the other one with you now. So I'm going to be positioning this, again trying to make it symmetrical with the other side. So I'm kind of positioning the feet at roughly the second to last round. As you can see here, that's the last round in the middle, and then I'm positioning the feet so that that round is between the feet. I am actually going to be using my pins for this because this is a flat piece, so it will be fairly easy for me to pin it down in place. But before I do that, I'm just going to change my mind in terms of where I start sewing. So I know I positioned my yarn tail so that it was at the top of the foot here, but I actually want to start sewing around the edges, so I'm going to just move this to the side instead. So I'm just going to move that yarn tail through to the side like that, and now I'm ready to sew that down. So I'm just going to again position this and pin it. Like that. Just check that that looks okay from the front, and it does. And then what I'm actually going to do, sorry, I'm just going to move that yarn tail once more to slightly more towards the side, so here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to whip stitch all the way around like this in sort of like a semicircle shape until I roughly get to this pin here, and then when I get to that point I'm probably just going to stop and leave it there. So I'm going to start off by going into one of these nearby stitches and just whip stitching all the way around like so. I think this might be my last one. I'll just do this and then check how it looks. I've accidentally looped that round the other foot. There we go. Right, so if we look at that from the front, I think that is fine. It's maybe a little bit too, as you can see, I don't know if you can notice this, but I think this foot is positioned a little bit too far back, so I'm just going to redo the final stitch that I did and just move it forwards a little bit. Right, I think I've undone the final 2, so if we just do those again. selecting some loops that are a bit closer to the front. Okay, yeah, I'm happier with how that looks. So I'm just going to remove the pins, weave the yarn tail through the body, snip it, and then we're done. So I'll show you a finished view of Igglybuff. So this is what my finished Igglybuff looks like. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!